were high. There was no bait into the lake. I think once all that, is taking place, we started to see pogies into the lake again. I just think that maybe the fish were there, they were in areas that we weren't fishing. Maybe with the water conditions, just pushed them off to other areas. But, I remember one year I was talking to, Mandy with the wildlife, and we had a spillway opened up, and they just quit by us. But her sample said from basically Goose Point to the corner of the causeway, in that little pocket in that way, it was filled with fish. When they would go out and dropping a net up in there were times almost every stitch. They would call up and say, we need more boxes to put fish in when they did samples up in there. They said they were eating rain minnows. And they said the rain minnows were like, if there was 1,000 of them per, foot of water or so many feet of water, there was 10,000 of them this year because of all of the fresh water, but all those fish got locked up in that one little section. So sometimes I think that, we have a tendency to think that because we're not catching fish, they're not there or not around in other areas, but they just get in areas where they're not presentable for us. Fish are opportunities too. They're going to eat what's ever there. If they don't have shrimp, they're going to eat something else. I know this when I'm out there by the bridges a lot of times fishing. Particularly, let's say the rig's off by the home, and I would be there, and if there's a good fisherman that fishes out there all the time, he'll fish with croakers. If he got there before I did, he got them fish started with croakers. I would pick up a few fish, and once he finally caught his limit and left, and then I would start picking up my fish on a live shrimp. If I beat him there the next day, I got him started on shrimp. He would have a rough time getting them started on croakers. So a lot of times I think it's just what you get them started on and how they bite. But if you guys have any questions about the lake, if I can help you guys with it, I appreciate it. And yes, sir.
When you use artificial, how do you determine what you use?
I hate to say it because I make baits. I don't use a few calls. It's one of the things, you make baits. I sell baits in Texas and other areas, and when I get an order and says strawberry with a whitetail, it goes to Texas. I couldn't give a strawberry with a whitetail away here. They won't catch fish, but they just have confidence in it in there. I generally use, I'm going to use some kind, if the water's real clear, I'm going to use Blue Moon opening night almost exclusively. If it's a little bit dirty, I'm going to go to one called Slam and Salmon. If I go down to venison fish, and I will change colors when I go to venison, I'm going to use a lot of purple with a chartreuse tail, and I'll switch from using the anchovies to the big straight tails down there. I just do better on big fish with that big straight tail. The big straight tail is probably the best bait, maybe there ever has been, because it's just an erratic motion. The fish doesn't hit it because he wants it. It hits it because it's trying. It looks like something. And I always explain it's like a cat and mouse game with him. If the mouse runs, the cat will knock him around a little bit. And the mouse turns on his side, plays possum a little bit. He'll may chew on him a little bit, then he'll leave. And the mouse gets up and runs again. The cat's going to go get him and play. It's just like that. I was out in the lake one day. It was crystal clear water. It was in October day, and sun was straight up, and I was in about 8 foot of water, and I was using the chartreuse jig heads, and I believe in just lead jig heads. I think any color jig heads, it's a waste of time, and I sometimes think it's scary. And as I was pulling through the water, I could see the jig head on the bottom, and I got it about 6 foot from the boat, and there's 2 trout that were following, and I pop it up, and when it would quiver back down again, the trout would get right over the top. It literally would stand up, almost straight up on it like this, and look at it. And I told my dad, look at them 2 trout, look at them 2 trout. And it's the first time I've ever seen it. And they were sitting there watching for it, waiting to jump. And I counted 1,001, 1,002. It's sort of like a clock that goes off your head. And when I popped it up, as soon as it went up, one of them grabbed it. I didn't even feel the first one that grabbed it. He felt the lead or the hook on it, and he spit it out. As soon as he spits it out, the second one grabbed it, and I fell in. And I saw it all happen. I said, that's incredible. How many times do they grab a bait that you don't know they have it? How many times you catch a second fish that grabs it because he's getting it away from that other fish. When I go out there, one of the first questions I use when we're using live bait and fish in deep water, somebody catches a trout and put it on the first fish. My first question always is, how did he hit it? And it tells me a lot how that fish hit it, because when a fish has got a group of fish or plenty of fish, like today, my first cast, that fish thumped it so hard, I knew there was plenty of fish out there, because his instincts, he's going to grab it, and he wants to get it away from all his little buddies out that way, because he knows they'll take it out of his mouth if they have an opportunity for it. Just like a seagull. You ever see a seagull when you throw something up, he's flying across the water, and he'll pull it out of the first one's mouth, and they might 3 or 4 times exchange it. Same thing happens with those trout out there. And so what will happen is that they'll hit it. If the guy says, oh, he just hit it and just stood there with it, I know, it's basically just a lone one, maybe there's 2 or 3 of them out there, and it's not a big school. But in colors, it's just about color of the water more for me. If the water is crystal clear, I'm gonna go with sort of a semi-transparent color. If it's a little bit dirty, I'm gonna change. And if you stay in that spectrum, you know, I mean, I make, I think 40, I think I counted the other day, 40-something different colors, and I probably use 5. Now, if I go to Texas, I'll switch over to totally different colors, and part of it is because the guys I'm fishing with, that's what they're using. And, you know, I'm sure it's the same way if you go to Florida and other areas, some colors will work better than others that may not work here. But there's certain rules for us around here. Basically, if that water's a little bit dirty, you want to go to dark colors. You know, and I never understood this. We had a great run, and I don't even remember what year it was now. I saw all the ages catching up with me. And that's when we were catching all those big trout by the Highway 11 bridge. And on those trout that were there, you would think, we would catch them at nighttime. And you would think you would go to a glow or something they could see. We would use an avocado. It's about the darkest of color you could find out that way. And they would literally hit it at nighttime, an avocado. You put a glow or something on, you wouldn't get a hit. You know, you put a, salt and pepper or something like that, you wouldn't get a hit. You put it, my favorite color was avocado. And it's one of those kind of things, once you catch it with one, it's hard to get a color off your line. That's the thing I always tell people. When people ask me, what is my favorite color? And we do have a favorite color, but I say it's the one I caught my last fish on. It's just one of the things when you're fishing. And it's funny, avocado, my 10.5-pound fish, and that was a 5-week stretch where personally, I caught 9 fish that were over 9 pounds on like 5 weeks. And we literally, you would catch a 7-pound fish, and people who were going with me a lot would say, God, he's only 7 pounds, I mean, it was like, I was taking people from other areas, and they would come in, and they would get like a 4 or 5 pound fish, and I would say, just flip it. And they said, oh man, that's the biggest fish I've ever caught. I said, just flip it, we're gonna get a bigger one. And they were like, and finally they got to flipping them, and all of a sudden you look at them, and they have a 7-pound fish, and they'd be trying to get him over the side. I said, hold him in the water, let him that down. Because they just couldn't, catch the actual size. We were fishing in the dark, and your determination in the dark was different. And this is what I'm getting about big fish. They've been at the same time all the time. As soon as that falling tide would slow down, when it wasn't running hard, it was the back end of the falling tide every single time. So, it's an hour different, basically an hour, maybe 45 minutes, could be an hour one day. And depending on what the wind is, but you'd follow that, So, one morning you go out and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you catch them. You do really good with this big fish. And then the next morning you get out that way and you didn't catch them. And so the tide was going the other way. So the next one, I told my customer, let's get there at 3 o'clock in the morning and we'd catch them, right when that tide was, right before that rising tide would go. Not when it was flat, but when it was moving. They hit at the same time. And I always say this on bigger fish, they're pretty much they're going to bite at the same time. Down in South Pass, they do the same thing. They bite right at the change in the tide. Your bigger fish always do. It's not they're going to bite every day. You sort of got to go out there, but if you look at where the major feeding periods are, it's almost when it always is. So they're pretty predictable. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Dudley, what opinions have you got about somebody that decides to go out and do like the old timers did and troll an artificial behind the boat? They like the railroad track, the highway 11, something like that. You got any opinions?
Well, they still do that. The Mississippi trolls with that wire line are incredibly good. I'm working on a project that I should have by the spring. They use a B2 squid back behind a Mirador, which is, it's one of the best things for working. It's not really what I call fishing. I don't know how you enjoy it because the ride's only about 3 foot long. But those guys are good. There's still the old Lake Pontchartrain line. There's still a few of the old timers that use the Lake Pontchartrain. It's not as many as it used to be. When I first went out on the lake, there was 2 distinct seasons. You had the trollers out that way, then you had the live bait guys. And there wasn't a lot of people who cast. We were one of the first ones to start casting, lures. And originally we started out with the 1/4-ounce jig heads, and we would catch them right at the change of the tide. But we wouldn't catch them when the tide run hard. And then all of a sudden we went to the 3/8 and figured that's more like a universal, gets it down.